The Third Testament, Section 6, Chapter 24-27. The Work of God. Chapter 27, The Beyond. The necessary knowledge of spiritual life. 1. How ignorant of spiritual teachings I am of the people of today. The reason for this is that my law and my teachings have been presented to them only as a moral doctrine that is helpful to them, and not as the way that leads their spirits to the perfect home. 2. The different denominations have sown in the hearts of men a false fear of spiritual knowledge, which has caused them to avoid my revelations and to sink more and more into the darkness of ignorance, giving as their reason that spiritual life is an impenetrable mystery. 3. Those who claim this are lying. All revelations that God gave man from the beginning of mankind have spoken to him of the spiritual life. Admittedly, I had not given you all my teaching because you were not yet qualified to know everything, but only when the time would have come for it. But what has been revealed to you from the Father to this day is sufficient for you to have a complete knowledge of the spiritual life. 25, 38-40. 4. The spiritual life longed for by some is feared, denied, and even mocked by others, but it inevitably awaits you all. It is the womb that receives all, the arm that stretches out to you, the homeland of the Spirit, an unfathomable mystery even to the learned. But my secrets can be penetrated whenever the key you use to open this door is the key of love. 80-40. Heaven and Hell. 5. Men have imagined hell as a place of eternal torment, to which, in their opinion, all those who have violated my commandments will come. And just as they created this hell for the serious offenses, so they imagined another place for the lesser offenses, and likewise another place for those who have done neither good nor evil. 6. Whoever says that in the hereafter one neither rejoices nor suffers, speaks not the truth. No one is without suffering, nor without joy. The sufferings and joys will always be mixed, as long as the spirit does not reach the highest peace. 7. Listen, my children, hell is incarnate and no longer incarnate, in inhabitants of this world and of the spiritual valley. Hell is the symbol of the severe sufferings, the terrible remorse, the despair, the pain and bitterness of those who have sinned greatly. But they will free themselves from these consequences through the development of their spirits towards love. 8. Heaven, on the other hand, which symbolizes true happiness and peace, is for those who have turned away from the passions of the world to live in communion with God. 9. Ask your conscience, and you will know whether you live in hell, whether you atone for your crimes, or whether you are permeated by the peace of heaven. 10. What men call heaven or hell are not certain places, it is the essence of your works, which your spirit reaps when it reaches the spiritual valley. Everyone experiences his hell, inhabits his world of atonement, or enjoys the bliss that comes from elevation and harmony with the divine spirit. 11,51, 56. 11. Just as man can create for himself on earth a world of spiritual peace similar to the peace of my kingdom, so can he, through his corruption, lead an existence that is like a hell of vices, wickedness, and remorse. 12. Also in the hereafter the spirit can encounter worlds of darkness, depravity, hatred, and vengeance, according to the inclination of the spirit, its aberrations, and its passions. But verily, I tell you, both heaven and hell, of which men only imagine themselves by means of earthly forms and images, are nothing else but different stages of development of the spirit, the one because of his virtue and development on the summit of perfection, the other in the abyss of his darkness, his vices and his blindness. 13. For the righteous spirit is indifferent to the place where he is, for everywhere he will carry within himself the peace and heaven of the Creator. The impure and confused spirit, on the other hand, may be in the best of the worlds, and he will constantly feel within him the hell of his remorse, which will burn within him until it has purified him. 14. Do you believe that I, your Father, have created places specially designed to punish you and thus avenge me forever for your insults? 15. How limited are the people who teach these theories? 16. How is it possible that you believe that eternal darkness and eternal pain is the end that awaits some spirit? Even if they have sinned, they will still be children of God forever. If they need instruction, here is the Master. If they need love, here is the Father. If they long for forgiveness, here is the perfect Judge. 17. He who never tries to seek me and to rectify his faults will not come to me. But there is no one who will resist my righteousness or my trials. Only purified you can come to me. 52, 31-37. 18. Among so many dwellings as the Father's house possesses, there is not one world of darkness, in all of them is his light. But if the spirit beings enter it with a bandage before their eyes because of their ignorance, how can they see that glory? 19. If ye ask a blind man here in the world what he sees, he will answer you, only darkness. Not because the light of the sun is not there, but because he cannot see it. 82, 12-13. 20. I told you at that time, do not entertain the idea that exists among men about hell, for in this world there is no greater hell than the life you have created with your wars and enmities, and in the hereafter there is no other fire than the conscience tortures of the spirit, when the conscience shows him his transgressions. 182,45. 21. As long as those who in their religious fanaticism in the hereafter only expect the punishment of hell hold to this opinion, they will create their own hell, because the confusion of the spirit is similar to that of the human mind, though much stronger. 22. You ask now, Master, is there salvation for those? I say to you, salvation is for all. But peace and light will not reach those spirit beings until the darkness of delusion dissolves. 23. Have you ever felt compassion for a man whose confused mind makes him see things that do not exist? How much greater would your pain be if you were to see in the hereafter those delusional beings who see their imaginary hell? 227,71. 24. Do not tremble at these revelations, on the contrary, rejoice at the thought that this word will destroy the idea you had of eternal punishment and all the interpretations given to you in the past times by the eternal fire. 25. The fire is the symbol of pain, self-accusation, and repentance, which will torture the spirit and purify it, as gold purifies itself in the crucible. In this pain is my will, and in my will is my love for you. 26. If it were true that it is fire that cures human sins, then all the bodies of those who have sinned should be thrown into fire here in earthly life, because they would not feel it dead. For the bodies never rise into spiritual space, on the contrary, once they have finished their task, they sink into the interior of the earth, where they merge with nature, from which they took life. 27. But if you believe that what you call eternal fire is not meant for the body but for the spirit, this is another grave error, because there are no material elements in the spiritual realm, nor does fire have an effect on the spirit. What is born of matter is matter, what is born of spirit is spirit. 28. My word does not come down to attack any faith conviction. If anyone thinks this, he is very much mistaken. My word will explain the content of all that has not been correctly interpreted and has therefore produced errors that have been passed on among mankind from generation to generation. 29. What value would my law and teaching have if they were not able to save the spirit beings from error and sin? And what sense would my presence as a human being in the world have had if there were many who would have to perish forever, in an atonement without end? 352, 44-48. 30. Some feel moved to do good works because they fear that death will take them by surprise, and that they will have no merit to offer to their Lord. Others detach themselves from evil, but only for fear of dying in sin and having to endure eternal hell after this life. 31. How distorted and imperfect is this God in the form in which so many imagine him! How unjust, monstrous and cruel! If all the sins and crimes that men have committed are united, this cannot be compared with the abomination which the hell punishment would mean for all eternity, to which, in their opinion, God condemns the children who sin. Have I not explained to you that the highest quality of God is love? Do you not then think that an eternal torment would be the absolute negation of the divine quality of eternal love? 164. 33-34. 32. You believe that heaven is a region in eternity, and that by sincere repentance of your transgressions you can enter into it at the hour of your physical death, because you trust that at that moment you will find forgiveness and be led by me into the kingdom of heaven. This is what you believe. 33. I, on the other hand, tell you that heaven is not a particular place, nor a region, nor a home. The heaven of the Spirit is its high sentiments and its perfection, its state of purity. On whom, then, is it up to you to allow yourselves to enter the kingdom of heaven, on me who have always called you, or on you who have always been deaf? 34. No longer limit the infinite, the divine. Do you not understand that if heaven were as you believe, a certain home, region or place, it would no longer be infinite? It is time for you to conceive the spiritual in a higher way, even if your imagination cannot grasp all reality. But it should at least come close to it. 146, 68-69. The music of heaven. 35. Ye have heard that the angels in heaven everlastingly hear the divine concerto. When you reflect on this symbol, beware of believing that in heaven too, music similar to that which you are accustomed to hear on earth is heard. He who thinks in this way has succumbed to a complete error of materialism. On the other hand, the one who, when he hears talk of the music of heaven and of the bliss of the angels in listening to it, thinks of harmony with God in this divine concert, will be in truth. 36. But how is it that some do not take this to be so, though a tone of the universal concerto is inherent in each one of you in his spirit? How is it that some who hear this word do not understand it, do not feel it, or misinterpret it? 37. O beloved children, weak in your comprehension, seek the light in prayer. Ask me in your meditations, for however extensive your questions may be, I will know how to answer you from eternity. I, in turn, will likewise ask you questions so that the light of truth may rise between the Master and the disciples. 38. Heavenly music is the presence of God in you, and in the midst of that concert your tone will resound, once you have reached the true elevation, which is spiritual beauty. This is the music of heaven and the singing of the angels. When you experience and feel it this way, the truth will shine in your being, and you will feel that God is within you. Life will offer you an eternal and divine concert, and in each of its sounds you will discover a revelation. 39. You have not yet heard the beautiful sounds in their perfect harmony, sweet sounds at times, others powerful. If by chance you perceive them at times, they will appear to you as indefinite tones which you cannot unite. You have not fully realized the beauty they contain. You have to leave behind the senses, the passions and the shadows of materialism in order to hear the concert of God in your mind. 199, 53-56. In my Father's house are many apartments. 40. My work grows more and more until finally all spirit beings unite in fulfillment of my law, and this earthly home becomes a world of perfection. Those who inhabit it at that time will feel my love in all created things and prepare themselves to live in a better world. This earth will be only temporary for your spirit. It will set out in the desire for perfection to other regions, other levels of the beyond. 41. Remember that I told you, in my Father's house there are many dwellings. And in this time of greater development, when you will better understand my teachings, I will tell you, in the Father's house there are an infinite number of dwellings. Do not think, then, that you have already reached the greatest spiritual height at the time of your departure from this world. No, disciples. When your sojourn on this planet ends, I will lead you to new homes, and so I will guide you forever on the infinite ladder of your perfection. Trust me, love me, and you shall be saved. 317, 30. 42. It is impossible for you to have an idea already in this world of what or how my kingdom, heaven and glory are. I want you to be content to know that it is a state of perfection of the Spirit, out of which He experiences, feels and understands the wonderful life of the Spirit, which you at present can neither comprehend nor imagine. 43. I tell you that not even the spirit beings who live on higher levels than the one on which you are, do not know the reality of that life. Do you know what it means to live in the bosom of the Father? Once you live there, only then can you know. Only a vague premonition, a faint inkling of that mystery fleetingly touches your heart as a stimulus on your path of development. 76,28-29